Alex Cooper is both a victim and a perpetrator, just like every single one of us.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I know, you're probably thinking, what is this girl talking about? I'm glad you asked. I mean, you didn't really have to ask. I was going to tell you anyways. All over my timeline, all over social media, I keep seeing the whole Alex Cooper drama. She's married and now she's pregnant. She's living a life that she has been rejecting and telling other women to reject as well. So people are calling her a hypocrite. There's so much hate on her. A lot of people were praying for her downfall. They wanted her to like never get married and never have kids and regretted all these different things. But she's rich, she's beautiful, she's married, she's having a kid, she's living a life that she preached against, but she also had a very promiscuous life that does lead people into ruin. Alex Cooper life right now is not the blueprint and it's not the norm. It's definitely an outlier. So for you to think that you can do exactly what she did and you'll have the same outcome, don't believe that. But anyways, going back to the original thing, the reason why I say that Alex Cooper is a victim is because she is the product of what society has been feeding us. Everything that she has been saying is what society has been telling us. It's the lie of the enemy. Alex Cooper did not invent hookup culture. She's now the face of it, but she didn't invent it. This has been a thing from the beginning of time because there's nothing new under the sun. She just so happened to start a podcast when podcast was on the rise and people watched. It was really right place, right time, and it just escalated and it's being echoed all throughout the nation and possibly the world. Now, if it's not obvious or not, I'm not really a listener of Call Her Daddy. I've heard like some segments here and there. When I listened to her podcast, when she talked about having a list, when she talks about sleeping around, when she talks about just like living life and, you know, her dating advice.
When I was preparing for this episode, I did a deep dive on TikTok to see what advice people were sharing for first dates. And you guys, I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified. I was shocked. I came across video after video of rules of what you should do and you should not be doing on a first date. And I fear we have completely lost the plot on what it actually means to be seeking a connection with someone. If you have some friends that are prudes that are like, you should never kiss on the first date, you're going to give them the wrong impression and they're just going to think you're a whore. Okay, maybe for you, Cassandra, but I'm about to let him in my back door on night. You don't have to do anal on night 2, but you could. Whatever feels right. No wonder dating feels like a chore. We're stripping out all the excitement and the joy when we start overanalyzing and strategizing to that extent.
I couldn't help but hear her words, but realize there's actually something deeper going on. Like, our words are the fruit of what's going on in our heart. Our words are simply the product of just everything that's going on in us. To me, it sounded like that she has faced so much disappointment from men. She maybe has been taken advantage of by men. She wasn't treated with value and dignity by men. And as a result, it made her feel unworthy, that she doesn't have any control.
And then one day, I will never forget this, my best friend was in town and I told my boyfriend that I was going to take her around and we were just going to go around the city and have like a fun little girls' day. And we kissed goodbye. All was fine. I headed out. I didn't hear from him all day, but I wasn't too concerned. When I got back to our apartment, my doorman stopped me and he said, Alex, I'm so sorry, but you're not allowed to go upstairs. I was like, wait, I'm sorry. Like, I live here. Like, I live here. Like, I was so confused before I could get any answers. He just proceeded to lead me towards a storage closet and inside were garbage bags filled with all of my clothes, all of my belonging. And when I tried to call my boyfriend and figure out what was going on, I got no response. He was completely ghosting me and he essentially ended our relationship without even having the breakup conversation. I remember I went onto social media that day to see if I could even just like figure out where he was. And he was at a football game with his friends drinking beers. I was like, oh, cool. And I'm like sitting on the side of the road with garbage bags, calling my parents, like begging them to come pick me up and help me because I'm like, I don't know what to do. In that moment, remember tears coming down, but also feeling numb, but confused and scared and all the things. And I remember just like, I literally thought my life was over. I was so lost after this happened to me. I felt so discarded and disrespected Like, you cheated. I agreed to stay and try to make it work. And now out of random, you're done. I had no apartment, no boyfriend. It was like everything in my life that gave me a sense of stability just suddenly was ripped from out under me.
So as a result, she said, I'm going to take back my control. Oh, we can sleep with whoever we want and with how many people we want. This was a way to be anti-men, but you're really just giving them what they actually want. Like, they want to sleep with you. Instead of them having to like put in the work, you're like, they don't have to do any work at all because you're just going to do it for them. There's so many issues with all these different things I'm saying, but I want to try to stay on task. I may be wrong about this being like Alex Cooper. Like, I don't know the details of her life. I'm just saying from what I have heard and from just analyzing her words, this may be a possibility, but I could be wrong. Even if this may not explain her life, I'm pretty sure that what I'm saying probably resonates with you. Probably resonates with someone watching this video. And this whole like promiscuous lifestyle, sexual liberation, it's slavery. It's packaged as freedom, but it's slavery. You feel that you have lost control. You fear judgment, all these different things. Because this whole sexual liberation, this promiscuous lifestyle, it's you being willing to be a slave to your fears, to your trauma, to your lust, to all of these lies that have been spoken over your life. The solution is not to sleep around with as many people as you can. The solution is that you need to heal. As I'm listening to her just speaking about the advice that she's giving, I'm like, girl, what you needed was not more men. What you needed was healing. You need to take a break from men. Be around just a godly sister community. I'm Christian if you don't know. So my worldview and my advice comes from a biblical perspective. And just take time to just process just everything going on, process what's going on in your heart with community, with the Lord. What you need is Jesus, because Jesus is our healer. And what you need is just be able to just process everything with him, also with a therapist who also has a biblical perspective, because the advice of this world, this promiscuous lifestyle and all the things, all the wisdom that comes with it, it gives you this false sense of security, this false sense of control, this false sense of comfort. It may temporarily make you feel better, but just like a unsticky Band-Aid, it's going to fall off, and that wound is going to be exposed and is going to open up and is going to worsen. It's not going to heal. And that's what the advice of this world does. It puts on something that's ineffective. It doesn't address the problem whatsoever. And that wound is just going to keep on getting worse, and you don't even notice it until it gets really bad. It may cost you your arm or something, you know? And it was so funny because I was thinking about this, and then I stumbled upon one of her podcast segments where she was saying that when she met her now husband, that she had said that she didn't want to marry him. And it was because that she just had all of these like disappointments and all these different things. And she said that the reason why she changed her mind on marriage is because he loved her unconditionally. He proved to her that, hey, I will love you and I will be with you. I'm not going to leave you.
I'm never getting married. When I met my now husband, who I just recently got married to, I literally said to him, we will never get married. Mm-hmm. And he was like, okay, like chill. And I was like, you can't change my mind.
And then what changed your mind?
Because I recognized that when I knew he earnestly meant it, that he would be with me for the rest of his life without us signing a legal document, without me having a physical ring on my finger. Mm-hmm. He would even say like my partner, like this, that. I saw the level of respect that he had for what I had initially wanted. And then I went into therapy and reevaluated, why was I so intent on not wanting to get married? And I would consider myself a very like strong, independent woman who I've always been career driven. And I was always worried that, especially as a woman, it would threaten a man. And I didn't think I could do both.
This love that she was explaining is a Christ-like love. And that's what she experienced. And that's what compelled her to actually want to be with this person. She was probably met with so much disappointment. So she settled or tried to have control. Like she probably felt like she will never meet someone good. She won't ever be married, all these different things. So she was like, you know what? I'm going to take matters into my own hands. But then she meets this guy who, I don't know his faith or anything like that. You know, he may not even be a Christian. However, the love that was explained that she shared is a Christ-like love, a love that it's someone who will never leave you, who loves you unconditionally. Like Jesus doesn't need anything beforehand. You don't have to be all cleaned up to approach him. Like he cleans you up. That's the whole point of him coming down from heaven onto earth. He came into our mess and he cleaned up our mess. And then she said that once she experienced this love, that she started going to therapy because there were so much things that she never addressed. And that's what caused her to not be able to move forward with marriage. That's what caused her to live this promiscuous lifestyle because of all of the trauma and disappointments that she had faced. Sorry, I'm making a lot of judgments here, but these are things from what I have heard from her podcast. I don't know her personally, so let me just say that I don't know her personally. But when I listen to her speak, I'm like, there is something deeper going on here. When I heard that, I'm like, these are just like my speculations. I could be wrong. However, even if this does not apply to her, this is not relative to her, I do think that what I am saying does resonate with you, does resonate with someone watching this video. Anyways, going back, she goes to therapy to address her issues. That's when she's finally like, okay, like, I'm ready for this. Like, I actually do want to get married. You see, it wasn't the promiscuous lifestyle and the sexual liberation that allowed her to heal and to be able to make this commitment. It was her meeting this man who said like, hey, I will love you and I won't leave you. There's no conditions to my love for you. And then she put in the work to address her trauma. That's when she healed and was able to marry this man. And now she's having a baby with this man. It wasn't her sleeping around. That didn't do anything for her. Instead, it actually deepens her wounds. It's adding like vinegar to your wound or, like bacteria. I mean, literally, like when you think about being intimate with someone, you are opening yourself up to many diseases. You are making yourself even more sick when you live this very promiscuous lifestyle. And that is not what God wants for you. I don't want that for you. I'm not saying this out of judgment, out of shame. I'm saying this because I want people to heal. I want people to actually see themselves with value and dignity. You have a soul that God loves so much that he died for you so that you can be restored and healed and be with him forever. He doesn't want you to be in pain. He doesn't want you to be lonely. I love you too much, even though I don't know you, but God loves you and he knows you. And I just like his love for you is what is compelling me to tell you like, hey, you are going down a really dark, deep hole that he wants to get you out of. You can't get yourself out of it, but he can. And it's so crazy to me because she's now living a life that goes against to what she has been preaching, and she seems very happy. And instead of acknowledging like, hey, like the lifestyle that I've been telling you guys, like, I'm so wrong, she doesn't take any accountability for the lies that she has been preaching to these women. This lifestyle is not what healed her and allowed her to move on and get married and have this family. To be honest, when I look at her face and I really hear her words, it doesn't seem like she's talking about this with so much joy. Like she's saying, living your life. But it's like now she's living a more traditional lifestyle and she seems so much happier and like she's glowing. The other lifestyle, it was draining her. Because when you live this life where you constantly keep sleeping around and meeting people, it's always going to be shallow. What we crave for the most are deep, intimate relationships. Being in a relationship where we can be completely honest, completely ourselves. There is no shame. There's history. And it's like, wow, like you really know me and you saw me grow from A to Z and all these different things. That's what we really want. Like someone who's like always been there, who's never left us, who has seen us grow, that we grow with. These shallow one night stands, they leave us even emptier because we're actually craving for something real and deep, and sleeping around does not do that. It creates this fantasy. It creates this facade that you're loved when really these people are just lusting after you. It's so shallow because what you call love, sleeping around, is really rooted in physical attractiveness. That's it. There's nothing more to that than that. But the reality is you have a soul, and your soul was meant to connect with another soul. First and foremost with God, but then also like with your family and with your spouse and, with other believers. We're mind, body, and soul. And this whole lust and sleeping around, it's so shallow because it just focuses on the physical attractiveness, just on the body. And you're so much more than just your body. Anyways, back to Call Her Daddy, Alex Cooper. I think she's living a life that she has always dreamed of, but she thought she could never achieve it. but she finally was able to meet a man who loves her and all these different things. She's building her family, and she looks generally so much more happier. And I pray that may God just bless her marriage and bless her family. But I also pray and hope that she comes to know the Lord, and she uses all of this to help people to stop going down this path, destructive path that she has been preaching. The Lord can use anybody. Like, I always think about Paul. The story of Paul always reminds me that anyone can be used by God, and God can turn anyone's life around. And honestly, I think she knows better. I think deep down she knows a promiscuous lifestyle leaves you empty, and her finding this man that she loves and starting a family, this is actually good for you. It's not this evil, demonic, patriarchy thing. We're designed for partnership and motherhood. I'm not saying like you have to be married to be fulfilled. You can be single and still be fulfilled. Look at Paul, look at Jesus. But I believe she may not take accountability for the promiscuous lifestyle that she has been preaching, because for her to take accountability for that and for her to say, hey, I was wrong, and actually I'm so much happier being married and having kids than just sleeping around with a whole bunch of guys that I don't know and I never had a connection with, and they didn't actually love me, but they really just used me for my body, and I also use them for their body, because I mean, it goes both ways. It seems like a lot of the relations were consensual, so we can't just blame one over the other. Anyways, because for her to take accountability and admit that she was wrong is for them to then be hit with a wave of guilt. She just says, woe to the ones who make the little ones stumbles. And for her to say like, hey, like, actually what I've been saying is wrong, she is going to be met with this heaviness, because then she's going to be admitting, oh my gosh, I have been leading people astray. Because what she has done is that she has been living through her trauma, been living through her disappointments, making decisions to mask her pain instead of actually heal from all of it. And her wisdom was based on the lens of just the disappointment and the trauma that she may have gone through. And then she was sharing all of that advice with other people. And then when she finally met someone who was good to her, and then she got healing, and now all of a sudden the advice that she was living by no longer satisfies her anymore, because she's healed from all of that. And for some people, they've been taking her advice and been living the life that she has been telling them to live since 2018. For some people, they actually are facing the consequences of their actions. Who wants to carry that weight? Who wants to carry that shame and that guilt? And I think that's one of the reasons why she doesn't want to take accountability. The other reason is the foundation of her entire platform, of her entire career, is based on a promiscuous lifestyle. But now that she's living a more traditional lifestyle, if she were to speak against that, everything crumbles. Matthew 7, verse 24 to 27. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. She built her entire platform, her entire persona, living a promiscuous lifestyle. And now she's no longer living that lifestyle. So if she calls against that, her entire brand, everything will fall apart. That's what people came to hear. That is what she is known for. So if she speaks against it, her entire empire falls. So I can see why she's not gonna speak against it. Okay, like, this is a lifestyle that I'm living, but still, like, you can't trust men. She doesn't completely refute the things that she no longer subscribes to, because everything will crumble and fall, and then she pretty much has nothing. Well, she'll still have her husband and now her baby, but she says she loves to work, she wants to have a business. She pretty much now has to choose her business or her integrity, honesty. So I can see why she has a dilemma. And again, like how I said earlier, like, to admit that is to then like carry that guilt, but that doesn't have to be the end of your story. You may lose your business, I don't know, or she can completely pivot into a different business or brand. But the Lord can use everything. He can use all of our brokenness. He can use everything for his glory. Just look at Paul. He was murdering Christians and all these different things, and the Lord used him in a mighty and powerful way. God can use all of that to heal you and to call people out of the dark and into his light. In Revelation, it talks about that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, that's Jesus, and the power and the words of our testimony. If you have made a whole bunch of mistakes in your life, that doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be if you let it be, but it doesn't have to be if you give your life to Jesus. Because the reality is that God loved you before you even knew him. And for you to think that your actions means that, oh, like, he won't ever love me. He died for you, knowing that you may not even choose him. I mean, what more do you want? He is constantly pursuing you. He's the God who leaves the 99 for the one lost sheep. He is constantly trying to call you, like Romans chapter 1 talks about that all of creation points to him. He is telling you, I am real, I am here. The gospel, what Jesus did, says, I love you before you even loved me. We first loved because he first loved us. She is both a victim of the product of society. Society has been preaching this promiscuous lifestyle for ages now. But also she's a perpetrator because she also led people down the path of destruction with her. All of the advice that she's been telling herself and tell other people was to cope with all the trauma and the disappointments that she has experienced. And she brought people along with her. So she's not just innocent as well. All of us have been hurt or been disappointed, and we end up coping through things that doesn't really do anything for us, and then we share that advice to other people, and but then we're also hurt, we're also products of our environment. But when you know better, you do better. We gotta take accountability for our actions when we do end up realizing, oh my gosh, we're wrong. It's hard, you may lose things, but I think it's better to just live in freedom, and who the spirit sets free is free indeed. The truth sets us free. And when you just live a life of honesty and truth, it just really sets you free from the bidding of the enemy, because the enemy is going to try to convince you to you don't want to be exposed, so do this, do that. Like, you're doing all of these things that you will never have done just to keep a secret, or just to not admit that you're wrong and take accountability for your actions. But when you bring it to the light, you're free from it. No one has control over you because everyone knows, and that's it. Let me know your thoughts down below. And again, I'm not saying that I know Alex Cooper. I really just used her as an example for everything I just talked about right now, because I want us to think deeper, have deeper conversations. If we just focus on the fruit, we never get to the root of the issue, and the fruit is just going to keep on growing back. If the root is still planted and rooted and very much nurtured, then the fruit's just going to come back, and it's going to be an endless cycle. If you really enjoyed this video and just the perspective that I had on this, check out the rest of my videos. Actually, last night I just filmed 4 videos talking about intimate relationships and intimacy, addressing lust, just all those different things. So subscribe and press the notification button so that you don't miss out. I have a Substack if you're interested in reading more in depth of the topics I talk here on YouTube. I think that is it for today. So thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day, and we'll talk later.